happens, I believe, fully in '06. But Kareem Biggs said in the interview you sent me, Kyle, that they had already planned the breakup in like '02, '03, but they just kept pushing the contract back.
Right.
So it was always a plan to liquidate the company at some point.
And
So
even in seeing and hearing that was kind of I'd never heard that before. That's why I sent you that
yeah,
article. But going back to your point about Biggs, he, at least publicly, he seems like a street dude that's about his business, but like he was in the middle. And I don't know if by that time Jay and Dave had become so big in their own rights. I don't know if he could have pulled them together. It would have worked, I think, if and I'm sure he probably tried, but then he probably got to a point where like, man, I can't talk to Dave, but he's like, man, I can't talk to Jay, and he was literally caught in the middle. But I wouldn't call him. Some people refer to him as a silent partner. I wouldn't call him a silent partner. I think he was very instrumental
in the album cover of Reasonable Doubt. He's in there.
Exactly, and we know who he was. He just did. He didn't do a whole bunch of talking. He didn't do a bunch of press. He didn't do, because Dave was the face of the movement. He was the face of Roc-A-Fella, and Jay was the talent. And Dame, there's a part of Dame, and we all know this. There's a part of Dame Dash that feels like he's responsible for Jay-Z's career.
He is, though.
He is. He does have a part in it. He played a part in it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Otherwise, Jay-Z would have been Jay-Z before that.
Right, but Dave probably thinks his part is a lot bigger than what it is, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's probably definitely inflated.
Yeah, oh, no doubt. But I would have liked to have seen them, stick it out for real,
or at least amicably not be together. Like, and maybe this is really. I mean, I guess Jay kind of kicked it off saying, you want to make a, you made hole, make another hole, and what was it? He did a couple of times. The whole song "Dig a Hole" was about Dave, basically.
Well, so I think that I had not seen the video that you two just discussed, but just hearing you talk about it and the fact that they had a plan to break it off at some point anyway, that's promising. It's just they probably were going to live by whatever date they set. But then that success, they were like, yo, we can't do, we gotta, you know what I'm saying? And all the while, the tension is still there because of the two totally different personalities.
Right.
A planner and a visionary. And that's a very tough one, because a planner is gonna map it all out. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Or they can't be equals in the situation. If it is a planner, the planner so one of them needs to be overranking the other one for whatever the work. You can't have the visionary and planner be equal partners.
And where was that going to happen between Dame Dash and Jay-Z?
They set a date.
Exactly.
But that success
kept pushing
that date out. But meanwhile, the combustion is still building. So it's probably good that they did drop it at some point, but they probably could have done it at a better way, because that was not business. That's personal stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it clearly became personal to the point where they ended up suing each other.
Yeah.
And the shots, unnecessary shots. I don't know what if they didn't do that. What if they didn't have shots? They still would be looked at as an amazing label, amazing hip hop label that put out. I'll say timeless.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure. I'm looking for validation on that. I don't know.
No. I think it's timeless.
Yeah. I mean, those movements. I mean, Dipset movement is still alive today. Look at Jim Jones out here, still 50 years old and still out here winding it up.
Kanye is still something.
Yeah. He's something, all right.
Got a lot going on.
But I have a question for y'all, and y'all tell me if I'm wrong. Do you think at the core that Jay-Z and Dame Dash were friends, or were they just dudes that knew each other, used to get money together, and came together like that? Or do you think they were genuinely friends, like boys, before all of this, happened?
That's an interesting question. It depends on what interview you hear from them, because like pre-interviews, they was running around because the story goes, Dame was a party promoter at first. Originally. They would call like the best friends or something like that. And Jay had a whole nother crew of doing stuff, and he would be over in Harlem, and they met. and they were like, we should just be linking up doing stuff. I can help you out with this. And he was trying to do his music through the best friends parties. Now that was when they were cool. Now when they wasn't cool, Dame says he was a lame dude. He's coming hang around the best friends, and he did something with his rap career. So it depends on which interviews you look at,
right,
of how they kind of came together.
I don't think they were ever friends.
Okay.
I'm speculating, but I think that was a business decision on both of them that never binded. One had a plan and the other one had a plan, and they were trying to get to there and use each other.
Right.
Yeah.
For lack of better expression, to use each other to get to what they wanted to get. But I will say, I think that what I observed is that Dame had way more loyalty than Jay-Z.
Well, I would say this, and I think Biggs, that's why Biggs still does business with Jay, is because it was the two Brooklyn cats versus all of Harlem. They came to Harlem to get their stuff started. So maybe that's where we need to start. Maybe it's like the two Brooklyn cats coming into a Harlem space, because they made it. They made Roc-A-Fella a Harlem space. I know Jay is from Brooklyn, but that was a Harlem operation.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
From
you're
top
right.
to bottom, the way it looked, the stylishness, it was all Harlem feels to it. So maybe that's what we need to say more. Maybe it was Brooklyn versus Harlem. We just didn't.
It got to a point where they were just like,
you gonna mess over that Harlem cat for real? I mean,
right. And they just got to a point where it was about, okay, let's get this money. And like I said, from afar, it looked like they were friends, but as time has gone on, I've questioned that. That's why I asked y'all, because it's like maybe they were just cool and they got to be real cool, and then they got to be business partners, and then everything takes off. And now you're literally and figuratively in business together, you're in bed together, so to speak. So that's why I was asking.
Or is it a situation where we getting so much money together, we are friends, because you in a way helped me get to money. So I do have.
You don't have to be friends to get money, though.
That's true. That's true.
That's a proven fact.
Yes,
you can be in business and not like each other at all. There's other shaded people that do that very well.
Fact.
So
very true.
Facts. And I agree 1,000% what you said. Agree. Dame is definitely more loyal than Jay, at least what it appears to be to us. Because Dame gave me the impression like he was going to ride Roc-A-Fella till the wheels fell off.
Yeah.
And Jay kind of gave me the impression like once Def Jam kept sniffing around, and then the money really started coming in, and they got there a part of this conglomerate, and Jay just, as a star, he started taking off and ascending into different type of heights. And Dame was still on the business side, still big, but he wasn't as big as Jay. No. And I think that was eventually just, the start of the downfall.
Now, this is something I just thought about from you just saying that. What if they never diluted Roc-A-Fella, let Jay go be the president of Def Jam, and just kind of did a quiet like send off where he still be like Roc-A-Fella, but he's not a part of the day-to-day operations, and people would have like, oh yeah, that's Jay, but then he's over at Def Jam doing his thing there. Could that have been a better landing place for them, and where they could have split? I go do my thing at Def Jam, but it gives people the appearance that is still Roc-A-Fella, unless he just wanted to split him with nobody associated with him. Maybe that's what. Maybe I'm being too friendly about it, like, oh man, let's go do your thing at Def Jam, and then you could come back and do your things here or do whatever.
Sometimes divorces end like that, but most time they don't.
But I was saying, we wouldn't even have to know that they really had left each other. He just had to take the job at Def Jam and been like, oh man, Jay doing this thing over at Def Jam. I mean, not Jay doing this thing at Def Jam. We still doing everything here at Roc-A-Fella, and it wouldn't have had to be all these artists having to split.
Yeah, I think it's
he said the divorce is stuff.
That sounds good, D, but it's I mean, like it was
optimistic.
Yeah, that's being very optimistic, because like I said, once they got into that and here's the thing, when Jay went to Def Jam, it was going to be a problem because he was still trying to dabble in as an artist. And I've always maintained, particularly in hip hop, if you own a label and you're an artist on that label as well, the people under you are always going to feel like they got screwed, because you're going to protect yourself before you protect it. Self-preservation. You're going to protect yourself and your career before you do anybody else. I don't care if it's Master P at No Limit. I don't care if it's Puffy at Bad Boy. Well, Puffy wasn't the band, but Biggie was.
Rick Ross.
Right, Rick Ross. All the way down the line. So you're always going to protect yourself and your brand And so once Jay got to Def Jam, if he went to Def Jam and just sat it out and just said, okay, hey, we're going to cultivate these artists and so forth and so on, then I think he and Dave probably could have, kept it together. But once he was like, all right, I'm coming, because I think by that time, if memory serves me correctly, he was on his way out and he had retired, and then he came back with the Kingdom Come album.
Yep.
And so now you're coming back.
We sent the first shot. Dig a hole.
Right. So you're doing that, and now it's like, and not only the Roc-A-Fella artists were suffering, but the Def Jam artists were suffering too, because they're like, okay, well, damn, bro, are you the president of this label, or are you an artist on this label? Are you both? And what's going to happen when my project has to come out, and we're spending all of our marketing money on your project? So it was going to be a tough way to go, and I think he and Dave, in hindsight, probably could have figured it out, but by then it was probably too late.
E Green, I'm gonna give another reference to Hip Hop Digest here for this about questioning you coming up. Are we forgetting Miss Carter involved in all of this during this time? He is married to Miss Carter.
Well, I think I speak for myself, King Killer, and Kurt G. Yeah, that is TMZ over there. I don't even yeah, that ain't even no hip hop discussion. No,
yeah, I'm saying that affect their relationship.
Well, I'm sorry. Let me rehear the question.
No.
I didn't tune out, but it was like Beyonce.
Yeah, no. I'm saying that like that she's running a certain direction in her career, and she's with Jay. Jay's like, I need to leave these other folks because now I'm doing this, because
as a business decision, clearly he made the right move.
Right. Clearly
he made the right move. But in the scope of Roc-A-Fella, I don't think that was a factor in that. That was a factor in Jay's
move,
climbing star.
Right.
But I think what was of Roc-A-Fella was, and don't matter who Aaliyah, don't matter who it would have been in their relationships or whatever, that label was destined to crash the way it did. It was destined.
Yeah.
And that goes back to the what if.
Mm-hmm.
That is a hard what if, because that is a definite what is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You what could we really make out of what if they would have stayed together? Besides, like I said, I'm sure there would have been a lot more good music that would have came out.
Mm-hmm.
But would they have still been at each other's necks, or not? One more than the other, one slyly, the other one more blatant as it went on. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
I think it was destined to crash, like I said. But the what if is like, it's hard because it is those two gentlemen who have not changed.
No, at all.
If one had changed, we could say, oh, damn, well, what if Dame would have not been so bombastic and brought it back? What if, but he hasn't to this day.
No, still.
Jay is, even you talked about Jay's days at Def Jam and all that. How did we really feel about Jay being the head at Def Jam? We were fans, and we were like, come on, this is not
right.
Gonna work. This is not going to work.
Not
and then we
work.
saw who popped while he was running that, right? So we saw that, but his life and where he wanted to, he's there.
Yeah.
He is all the way there. You know what I'm saying? So what if he didn't? What if he would have said, or what if he would have been as dedicated to Dame as Dame was to him?
Yeah.
I think that's why Dame talks a little bit more bitter, because he's probably hurt, like, for real.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I know people tend to clown Dame. It's funny, I just saw a video earlier today of Dame. He was popping champagne somewhere, and I went in the comments and people talk about Dame and his teeth and he's broke, and I don't think for a second Dame is broke. Dame might not have the money that he used to have, but I don't think
he ain't regular folk broke.
Right. He ain't bouncing rich check broke. You know what I'm saying? So but it's interesting, E. Green. I think you make a great point, man. I think it was probably destined to happen. I think, like, when I think about Jay and Dame, like, for example, Dame's son is Jay-Z's godson. So, you know, that's something big if you say, okay, hey, this is gonna be your godfather. And then they're going through their beef, and he has a relationship with this young man, and now maybe he don't come around no more, or maybe when he come around, they keep it cordial, but he's there for his godson, but they ain't kicking it over no like how we used to kick it. And what's interesting was maybe about a week or so ago, I saw I was watching the Unplugged, Jay-Z Unplugged on MTV, and Dame was up there dancing. I mean, like, that's the Dame Jay-Z combination that I remember. Him coming out to you know, Jay-Z songs and dancing, all of the videos, like in the in the Big Pimpin' video, Dame pouring champagne on chicks. That's the Roc-A-Fella that we remember. And so, like, to see it get to that point, I remember when things started crumbling. I think, and I can't say that this is the definitive spot where it went left, but I remember Jay, to your point, E. Green, was with Beyonce. They were vacationing in San Tropez, and Dame was on Hot 97, I think. And they were asking him something about something, and he said something to the effect of, like, Cameron is going to be the new president. And
he made him the president.
And so everybody was like,
the vice president of Roc-A-Fella was vice president.
Yeah, he's gonna be like the vice president or the president or something like that. And everybody's like, well, wait a minute, how he jumped Bleak? Because Bleak been there since day one. Bleak was on the first album. Like, he grew up with Jay.
Where's Bleak from?
He's from Brooklyn.
Okay, then, and where is Cameron from?
Harlem.
So there you go. Civil War barrel.
There you go. So I mean, like, I remember that happening, and now keep in mind, folks, there was no TMZ, there was no internet, there was no nothing, and so, like, you know, when the word got to San Tropez, Jay was like, nah, that ain't happening. And then it was like, when he came back, word was like, you know, that's when some of the friction started, and then Dame subsequently signed Jim Jones. Well, I don't know if it's Jim Jones. No, I know it was Cameron and a couple other people. I think it was ODB. So he had a couple.
What if DOC never got into that car accident? What if Ice Cube didn't leave NWA? What if the Game never leaves G-Unit? What if Teddy Riley never moves to Virginia? What if we got that J. Cole and Kendrick album? What if the RZA would have never had that flood? How would the hip-hop world sound today? Welcome to Hip Hop What Is, the podcast where we dive into the biggest what could have beens in hip-hop history. From iconic album delays to game-changing partnerships that never happened, we reimagine the culture we love and explore its alternative paths. And you are now at Hip Hop What Is.